A group of 9 young friends, their laughter echoing through the quiet streets of Tlaxcala, Mexico, as they packed their bags for a trip they had been dreaming about for months. They had spent weeks planning every detail, what beaches they would visit, which roadside food stalls they would stop at, and where they would watch the sunset together. This wasn't just any trip. It was their graduation trip, a celebration of years of hard work, late-night study sessions, and the bonds of friendship that had carried them through life's ups and downs. They were heading to Oaxaca, a place known for its golden beaches and breathtaking coastline, where the waves stretched endlessly and the sky seemed to meet the earth in a perfect embrace. They were young, full of hope, and ready to make memories that would last a lifetime. But what began as a journey of excitement and dreams soon turned into a nightmare, one that would shatter their families, devastate an entire nation, and leave the world mourning the loss of 9 promising lives. This is the tragic story of the students who vanished in Mexico and the horrifying discovery that followed. It was February 27, 2025, when they set out on their road trip. The group ranged in age from 19 to 30, each with their own personality, each with their own story. Angie Lizeth, 29, was the responsible one, the big sister of the group who always made sure everyone was safe. Brenda Mariel, just 19, was the youngest, full of energy and curiosity, with a smile that could brighten even the darkest days. Jacqueline Ailet, 23, was the dreamer, always talking about the places she wanted to visit, the cultures she wanted to experience. Noemí Yamileth, 28, was the planner, the one who ensured everyone had enough snacks, water, and a plan in place. Noya Trejo, 21, was the artist, constantly sketching in her notebook, capturing the beauty of the world around her. Raul Emmanuel, 28, was the heart of the group, the joker, the entertainer, the one who could turn any moment into a memory worth keeping. Ruben Antonio and Rolando Armando were quieter, but their presence was deeply felt, their friendships unshakable. And then there was the 9th traveler, whose name remains unknown, but who was just as much a part of their story as the rest. They drove along the Tlaxcala highway, the sun casting a golden glow on the road ahead. The wind rushed through their open windows, mixing with the sound of music blasting from the speakers and their laughter filling the air. This was freedom. This was youth. This was a moment they would cherish forever, or so they thought. Hours passed, then a day, then 2. Their families waited anxiously, checking their phones, expecting messages filled with pictures of beaches and stories of their adventures, but those messages never came. Calls went unanswered. The group chat, once filled with constant updates, fell eerily silent. Panic set in. Their families reported them missing, their voices laced with fear and desperation. The authorities launched a search, scouring the highways, checking rest stops, questioning anyone who might have seen them. The days stretched on, hope dimming with each passing hour. Mexico watched, holding its breath, praying for a miracle. And then, on March 5, 2025, the nightmare became reality. An abandoned truck was discovered near the border of Puebla and Oaxaca. Inside, investigators found a scene so horrifying that even the most seasoned officers were left shaken. 4 bodies lay crumpled in the truck. 5 more were found under a tarp nearby. But that wasn't the worst of it. A bag containing 8 severed hands was also recovered, with 2 more hands still inside the vehicle. The bodies showed signs of bullet wounds, bruises, and torture. It was a scene of unimaginable violence, a brutality that defied explanation. The victims were identified: Angie, Brenda, Jacqueline, Noemí, Leslie, Raul, Ruben, Rolando, and one whose name we may never know. They were no longer just names in a missing persons report. They were sons and daughters. They were brothers and sisters. They were friends. They were young people with dreams, with futures, with lives that were stolen from them in the most horrific way imaginable. authorities quickly launched a full-scale investigation, vowing to bring those responsible to justice. The Attorney General's office in Puebla, along with officials from Tlaxcala and Oaxaca, began piecing together the puzzle of what had happened. "All relevant investigations are being carried out," said Idamis Pastor Betancourt, the head of Puebla's State Attorney General's office. "When we have a response and the investigation is complete, we will be in a position to provide more information. But for the families left behind, no amount of answers could ease their pain. How do you make sense of something so senseless? How do you find closure when your loved ones were taken from you in such a brutal way?" The tragedy of these 9 students is not an isolated incident. It is a reflection of a much larger crisis in Mexico. In 2023 alone, over 30,000 people were killed, marking one of the most violent years in the country's recent history. The disappearances and murders of innocent people have become an all too common horror, leaving countless families in anguish, searching for justice that may never come. But these 9 students were not statistics. They were human beings with lives, dreams, and stories that deserved to be told. They had futures ahead of them, jobs they would have worked, love they would have found, families they would have built. They should have had the chance to grow old, to look back on this trip as a cherished memory instead of their final journey. And so, we must remember them. Not just as victims, but as the people they were. We must remember their laughter, their joy, their friendships. We must remember Angie, who looked after everyone, Brenda, who had so much life ahead of her, Jacqueline, who dreamed of seeing the world, Noemí, who always made sure they were taken care of, Leslie, whose sketches captured the beauty of life, Raul, who made everyone laugh, Ruben and Rolando, the quiet yet strong ones, and the one whose name we may never know, but whose life mattered just as much. Their story is a call to action, a demand for justice, for change, for a world where young people can travel without fear, where families don't have to live in constant terror of losing their loved ones to violence. As we mourn them, let us also honor them. Let us remember their names. Let us ensure that their story is never forgotten. In memory of Angie Lizeth, Brenda Mariel, Jacqueline Ailet, Noemí Yamileth, Leslie Noya Trejo, Raul Emmanuel, Ruben Antonio, Rolando Armando, and the unknown traveler, may they rest in peace, and may their story inspire us to create a world where such tragedies never happen again.